The morning sun cast long shadows across Victoria Island as Chief Adebayo Olanrewaju stepped out of his penthouse, adjusting his gold cufflinks. At 52, he had everything a man could want: a mansion overlooking the Atlantic, 3 thriving import businesses, and a brand new midnight blue Mercedes-Benz S-Class that cost more than most Lagosians earned in a lifetime. The car sat gleaming in his driveway, its chrome details catching the light like scattered diamonds. "Papa, it's beautiful," his daughter Zainab had exclaimed when he first brought it home 3 weeks ago. At 19, she was his only child, his miracle baby after years of waiting. Her mother had died bringing her into the world, and Zainab had become the center of Chief Adebayo's universe. She was studying pharmacy at the University of Lagos, brilliant and kind, with her mother's gentle spirit and his determined chin. That morning, Chief Adebayo had a crucial meeting with Chinese investors. His driver, Musa, was already waiting by the Mercedes, but as the chief approached, he noticed something odd. A crude chalk drawing marked the driver's side door, a circle with strange symbols inside. His jaw tightened. "Musa, what is this nonsense on my car?" The driver, a thin man in his 40s who had worked for the chief for 8 years, bent down to examine the marks. "I don't know, sir. It wasn't here when I washed the car last night." "Then clean it off immediately. We're already late." Musa pulled out a rag and wiped away the chalk marks, his fingers tracing over the symbols. Chief Adebayo barely noticed. He was already on his phone, barking orders about the meeting. They drove through Lagos traffic, weaving past Danfos and Okadas, the chief's mind occupied with profit margins and shipping containers. The meeting went perfectly. By noon, he had secured a contract worth 50 million naira. When Musa dropped him back at the office, the chief was in high spirits, already planning how to expand his warehouse in Apapa. He didn't think about the chalk marks again. Not until the call came the next morning. "Chief, it's your head of security." The voice on the phone was shaking. "It's Musa, sir. He's dead." Chief Adebayo's coffee mug froze halfway to his lips.
"What? How?"
"We found him this morning in his quarters." His wife said he was perfectly fine yesterday, then woke up screaming in the middle of the night, talking about shadows pulling at him. By dawn, he was gone. The doctors can't explain it, his body just shut down. The chief dismissed it as tragic coincidence. Musa was older than he looked, perhaps a hidden heart condition. He attended the funeral, gave the widow a generous envelope, and hired a new driver within days. A young man named Shinidu, eager and ambitious, with quick hands and a ready smile. 2 weeks passed. Life returned to normal. Chief Adebayo drove to a business associates party in Ikoyi, the Mercedes turning heads wherever it went. When he arrived, the host's parking attendant, a teenage boy named Emmanuel, rushed forward enthusiastically. "Sir, welcome. I will park it for you. Be careful with it," the chief warned. "This car costs more than your family home." Emmanuel grinned nervously and slid into the driver's seat, his hands gripping the leather steering wheel with reverence. He parked the Mercedes perfectly between 2 Range Rovers, then jogged back to hand over the keys, his fingers lingering on the key fob. "Beautiful car, sir. One day, by God's grace, I'll have one like this." The chief took the keys without responding and walked into the party. He spent the evening networking, drinking expensive champagne, and discussing the upcoming gubernatorial election. He didn't think about Emmanuel again, until 3 days later, when his business associate called him, voice heavy with grief. "Adebayo, did you hear about the boy? The parking attendant from my party." "What about him?"
"He's dead."
"Died yesterday. Started having seizures the morning after the party. Said something was sitting on his chest. By evening, he was gone." His mother is devastated. He was her only son, paying for his younger siblings' school fees. A cold finger traced down Chief Adebayo's spine. Two people who had touched his car, both dead within days. But Lagos was a hard city. People died unexpectedly all the time. It didn't mean anything. It couldn't mean anything. That night, he stood at his bedroom window, staring down at the Mercedes in the driveway. The car gleamed under the security lights, beautiful and innocent. He thought about the chalk marks Musa had wiped away. Thought about Emmanuel's eager smile as he gripped the steering wheel. Just coincidence, he told himself. Just terrible, tragic coincidence. But deep in his chest, where instinct lived beneath logic, something whispered that he was wrong. Something whispered that the Mercedes had become something more than a car. Something whispered that whatever he'd brought home wasn't just metal and leather and German engineering. It was hungry, and it wasn't finished feeding. Chief Adebayo tried to push the deaths from his mind, but Lagos had a way of making secrets impossible to keep. Within days, whispers began circulating through his neighborhood. The gateman's wife mentioned it to the housemaid, who told the cook, who told the chief's secretary. 2 men, both young, both healthy, both dead within days of touching Chief Adebayo's Mercedes. They say it's spiritual, sir, his secretary, Mrs. Okonkwo, ventured carefully one morning as she brought his coffee. She was a motherly woman in her 50s who'd worked for him for over a decade. People are talking. People are always talking, he snapped. Lagos runs on gossip and speculation. Tell them to find something better to do. But even as he said it, he felt the weight of unease settling deeper into his bones. That afternoon, he made a decision. He would take the car to his personal mechanic in Surulere, have it thoroughly checked. Perhaps there was a carbon monoxide leak, something scientific that explained the deaths. Yes, that made sense. Modern problems required modern solutions. His new driver, Chinedu, seemed nervous about the trip. Sir, maybe we should take the Lexus instead?
Why?
The Mercedes is perfectly fine. It's just, people are saying things, sir, about the car. Since when do you listen to market gossip? Chief Adebayo's voice was sharp. Drive the car, Chinedu. That's what I pay you for. They drove through Surulere's chaotic streets, past merchants hawking their wares and street preachers warning of end times. The mechanic shop was tucked between a fabric store and a pepper grinding mill. Baba Segan had been fixing cars for 40 years. If anyone could find a problem, he could. The old mechanic walked around the Mercedes slowly, his practiced eye taking in every detail. He opened the hood, checked the exhaust, examined the interior. Finally, he straightened up and wiped his hands on his oil-stained coveralls. Mechanically, this car is perfect, Chief. Not a single thing wrong with it. Engine like new, no leaks, nothing. But the people who touched it. I heard the stories. Baba Segan's face was grave. Chief, I'm a man of science. I fix engines and transmissions. But I've lived in Lagos all my life, and I've seen things that no mechanic's manual can explain. If 2 healthy men touched this car and died within days. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Maybe this isn't a mechanical problem. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting you take this car to someone who deals with problems that wrenches can't fix. I can give you an address.
No.
Chief Adebayo's voice was firm. I don't believe in all that superstitious nonsense. There's a rational explanation for everything. But driving home, his hands gripped the steering wheel tighter than necessary. He'd sent Chinedu home in a taxi, unable to shake the feeling that he needed to minimize how many people touched the car. The Lagos traffic crawled around him, and he found himself studying every person who got too close. The street hawker who leaned against the hood at a red light, the security guard at a checkpoint who placed his hand on the roof while checking his papers. That night, he couldn't sleep. He stood in his study, nursing a glass of cognac, watching through the window as the Mercedes sat in the driveway. Just a car, he told himself. Just metal and glass and leather. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Chief Adebayo? The voice was old, female, speaking Yoruba. I am Aya Aliko from the market. I knew your mother. God rest her soul. I need to speak with you about your car. How did you get this number? That doesn't matter. What matters is that you're in danger. That car carries a curse, Chief. A powerful one. I've been seeing it in my dreams. He hung up, then blocked the number, then poured himself another drink. 3 days later, his neighbor's teenage son, Tund, was playing football in the street with his friends. The ball rolled under the Mercedes. The boy, laughing and competitive, didn't hesitate. He dropped to his knees and reached under the car to retrieve the ball, his young hands brushing against the undercarriage. "Got it," he shouted triumphantly, holding up the ball. Chief Adebayo watched from his balcony, his heart suddenly pounding. No, he thought. Not again. Tun played for another hour, perfectly healthy, laughing with his friends. Chief Adebayo began to relax.
See?
He told himself. Nothing happened. It's all just coincidence and superstition. But that night, Tun's mother's screams woke the entire street. By the time Chief Adebayo threw on his robe and ran to their house, neighbors were already gathering. The boy was on the floor, convulsing, his eyes rolled back, foam at his lips. His mother knelt beside him, praying desperately in Yoruba. "He just started shaking," she wailed. "He said something was choking him, said he couldn't breathe. Please, someone help my son." The ambulance took 40 minutes to arrive. By then, Tund had stopped convulsing. He lay still and silent, his young face peaceful as if he were merely sleeping. But he wasn't sleeping. He was gone, like Musa and Emmanuel before him. 3 deaths. 3 people. All connected by a single thread. They had all touched his Mercedes. Chief Adebayo stood in the crowd, watching the boy's body being carried away, and finally allowed himself to face the truth he'd been running from. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't carbon monoxide or heart conditions or medical mysteries. This was something else entirely. Something dark. Something hungry. Something that had marked his car and was claiming souls like debt collection. And he had no idea why. The morning after Tun's death, Chief Adebayo's hands shook as he poured his coffee. The penthouse felt suffocating, the walls closing in. Through the window, he could see the Mercedes in the driveway, beautiful and lethal as a cobra sunning itself. 3 deaths in less than a month. 3 families destroyed. And all because people had touched his car. He had to find answers before someone else died. His phone rang. It was Pastor Adeyemi from the cathedral in Lekki, where Chief Adebayo made generous donations and sat in the front pew every Christmas and Easter. "Chief, I heard about the Badmus boy. 3rd death connected to your vehicle. The church is concerned. I need help, Pastor." The words came out strangled. "I need you to pray over the car, to cleanse it, whatever you people do." That afternoon, Pastor Adeyemi arrived with 3 assistant pastors, all carrying Bibles and bottles of anointing oil. They circled the Mercedes, chanting prayers and splashing oil on the hood, the doors, the tires. The lead pastor placed his hand on the roof and began speaking in tongues, his voice rising and falling in fervent supplication. Chief Adebayo watched from his doorway, hope and desperation warring in his chest. This had to work. It had to. After an hour, Pastor Adeyemi approached, sweating and exhausted. "Chief, we've done what we can. The car is cleansed in Jesus' name. The evil has been rebuked. Are you certain?" The pastor's hesitation was brief, but telling. "Have faith, Chief. And perhaps don't drive it for a few days. Just to be sure." But faith wasn't enough. That night, Chief Adebayo sat in his study, the weight of 3 deaths crushing him. He thought about Baba Segan's suggestion, the phone call from Aya Aliko. He'd spent his life dismissing traditional beliefs as primitive superstition, building his fortune on Western education and modern business practices. But Western medicine couldn't explain these deaths. Christian prayers felt hollow against whatever darkness had attached itself to his car. He needed someone who understood the old ways. The next morning, dressed in simple clothes instead of his usual designer suits, he drove to Ajagunal in his Lexus. The neighborhood was a far cry from Victoria Island, crowded streets, open gutters, buildings pressed together like teeth. He found the address Baba Segan had given him, a small compound with a blue gate, symbols painted in white chalk around the doorframe. An elderly woman answered his knock. She was small and hunched, wearing traditional wrapper and head tie, her eyes sharp despite her age. "Ayo Lodge?" he asked, using the name Baba Segan had given him. "Chief Adebayo Olanrewaju." Her voice was steady, unsurprised. "I've been expecting you. Come inside." Her shrine room smelled of incense and dried herbs. Cowrie shells and carved figures lined the walls. She gestured for him to sit on a woven mat, then settled across from him with practiced ease. "Tell me everything," she said. "From the beginning." He told her. About the chalk marks on the car. About Musa, Emmanuel, and young Tund. About the pastor's prayers that felt like whistling in a hurricane. When he finished, she was silent for a long moment, her weathered fingers playing with the cowrie shells in her lap. "Do you remember buying the car?" she finally asked. "Was there anyone who seemed upset? Anyone you might have offended?" Chief Adebayo frowned, thinking back. "I bought it from the dealership in Ikoyi. Premium Motors. There was—" He paused, remembering. There was another man there the same day. He was looking at the same model. "We got into an argument." "What kind of argument?" "A stupid one. He placed a deposit, but I offered cash immediately, full price. The manager gave me priority. The man was angry, said I was using my money to disrespect him, that people like me thought we owned the world." Chief Adebayo shifted uncomfortably. "I may have said some harsh things. Told him to go back to wherever he came from if he couldn't afford Lagos prices." What did this man look like? Older than me. Maybe 60. Very dark skin. Tribal marks here. He gestured to his cheeks. Spoke Igbo with the salespeople. Aya Alaj's expression darkened. She cast the cowrie shells, studied their pattern, cast them again. When she looked up, fear flickered in her ancient eyes. "This man cursed your car, Chief. A powerful curse, one that requires knowledge and sacrifice. Each person who touches it feeds the curse, makes it stronger. The deaths aren't random, they're payment. Blood payment for the offense you gave. But I didn't kill anyone. I just bought a car." "You humiliated him publicly. Treated him as worthless because you had more money. In his eyes, you represented everything wrong with Lagos. The rich trampling the poor, respect dying for the sake of Naira notes." She leaned forward. "Tell me, Chief, did you ever think about how your words might wound? Did you consider that this man might have saved for years for that car, only to watch you snatch it away with casual cruelty?" The words hit like physical blows. Chief Adebayo thought about all the times he dismissed people, cut them down with words, used his wealth as a weapon. Had he become so powerful that he'd forgotten others were human too? "What do I do?" His voice was barely a whisper. "How do I stop this? The curse demands acknowledgement of wrongdoing and restitution. You must find this man. Apologize with genuine remorse. Return what you took from him, not just money, but dignity. Only then can the curse be lifted." "And if I can't find him?" Aya Alaj's silence was answer enough. Chief Adebayo stood, his legs unsteady. "I'll find him. I'll make this right." "Then hurry, Chief. Because curses like this don't stop on their own. They grow hungry. And the next person to touch that car." She didn't finish. She didn't have to. As Chief Adebayo drove home through Lagos traffic, his mind was already racing. He would find the man. He would apologize. He would fix this before anyone else died. But deep down, beneath his determination, a new fear whispered. What if he was already too late? What if the curse had already chosen its next victim? Chief Adebayo spent the next 48 hours like a man possessed. He returned to Premium Motors, demanding records, security footage, anything that could identify the man he'd humiliated. The dealership manager, nervous under the chief's intensity, pulled up files from 3 weeks ago. His name was Mr. Okonkwo Namdi, the manager said, scrolling through the computer. He'd been saving for 5 years to buy that Mercedes. It was supposed to be a retirement gift to himself. He was a retired civil servant from Enugu. The words twisted like a knife in Chief Adebayo's gut. 5 years of saving. A lifetime of work. All dismissed with his casual cruelty. "Do you have an address? A phone number?" "Yes, but Chief." The manager's face was troubled. "I heard he returned to his village in Enugu State after what happened. Said Lagos had finally broken his spirit." Chief Adebayo copied down the information, his hand trembling. Enugu was a 6-hour drive. He would leave immediately. But first, he needed to ensure his staff didn't touch the Mercedes while he was gone. He called an emergency meeting with his household staff, the security guards, the housemaid, the cook, the gardener. No one touches the blue Mercedes, he commanded. Not to clean it, not to move it, not for any reason. Anyone who disobeys will be immediately dismissed. They nodded, confused but compliant, whispering among themselves about the deaths and the chief's strange behavior. Only Chinedu, his driver, met his eyes with understanding and fear. As the meeting dispersed, Chief Adebayo tried calling Zainab to tell her he'd be traveling. His daughter had been spending long hours at university, preparing for exams. The call went to voicemail. Zainab, it's Papa. I need to travel urgently. Don't come to the house while I'm gone, okay? I'll explain everything when I return. I love you. He packed a small bag and headed for his Lexus. The drive to Enugu felt endless. Hours of watching Nigeria's landscape transform from Lagos's urban chaos to rural highways bordered by palm trees and farmland. He rehearsed what he'd say to Mr. Okonkwo. The apology that needed to be perfect, genuine, transformative enough to break a curse born of wounded pride and righteous anger. He arrived in the village at dusk. The address led him to a modest compound with mud walls and a corrugated iron roof. An elderly woman was sweeping the yard, and her face hardened when he introduced himself. You're the Lagos big man who sent my husband home crying, she said, her voice cold. The one who made him feel small because your pocket was fatter than his dignity. Please, Mama, I need to speak with him. I've come to apologize. You're too late. Her broom stilled. My husband died 4 days ago. Heart attack, the doctors said. But I know better. He died of shame and bitterness. That Mercedes was his dream, and you crushed it like it meant nothing. The world tilted. Chief Adebayo gripped the compound wall for support. I'm sorry. God knows I'm sorry. I was arrogant and cruel. I came to make it right. Make it right. Her laugh was bitter. My husband is gone. Your apology is worthless to him now. But the curse. He cursed my car before he died. People have been dying, Mama. Innocent people. If there's any way to lift it. Curse. She looked genuinely confused. My husband didn't curse anyone. He wasn't that kind of man. He came home sad, yes, but he forgave you. Said that anger poisons the soul. He died at peace, Mr. Chief. No curses on his lips. Chief Adebayo's mind reeled. If Mr. Okonkwo didn't curse the car, then who did? Who had drawn those chalk marks? Who had? His phone rang. Unknown number. His hands shook as he answered. Chief Adebayo? A young man's voice, trembling with fear and grief. This is Tun's older brother, Michael. I need to talk to you about my brother's death. About why I killed him.
What? What are you talking about?
I cursed your car, Chief. Not for you. I knew you'd never touch it like common people do. I cursed it for them. For everyone who serves people like you, who cleans your cars and parks them and breaks their backs while you look down at them like insects. His voice cracked. I worked briefly as a car washer at your friend's party. You called me boy and threw coins at my feet like I was a beggar. You didn't even remember my face. The memory surfaced, vague, shameful. How many people had he treated that way over the years? I found a Babalawo in Badagry who taught me curse work, Michael continued. I marked your car the night before your driver took you to that meeting. I wanted you to feel powerless for once. But the curse was too strong. It killed everyone who touched the car, including my own brother when he went after his football. My Tund. My baby brother. Michael. I'm turning myself into the police tonight. But first I needed you to know. The curse can't be lifted normally now, not after claiming blood. There's only one way to end it. His voice dropped to a whisper. The owner must destroy the car completely. Burn it to ash and scatter the remains in running water. Only then will the spirits release their hold. The call ended. Chief Adebayo stood in the village compound, the phone dead in his hand, understanding finally washing over him like ice water. His arrogance had set this in motion. His casual cruelty had planted seeds that grew into something monstrous. And now the only solution was to destroy the symbol of that pride. He drove through the night, racing back to Lagos, praying he wasn't too late, praying no one else had touched the cursed Mercedes in his absence. He arrived home at dawn, exhausted and desperate. The Mercedes sat in the driveway, gleaming innocently in the early morning light. He would call a towing company, have it taken somewhere remote, set it ablaze. Then he saw it. A single yellow ribbon tied to the side mirror. His blood turned to ice.
Zainab.
His daughter loved leaving ribbons everywhere, marking things as hers, bringing color into his austere world.
No.
No, 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 no. He ran into the house, shouting her name. The housemaid appeared, startled and confused. Zainab came by last night, sir. She said she needed some books from her old room. She touched the Mercedes, sir. Said she was testing if the rumors were true, that she didn't believe in curses. The floor dropped away. Chief Adebayo collapsed to his knees. When? The word came out strangled. When did she touch it? About midnight, sir. 11 hours ago. The same time frame as all the others. Musa 1 day. Emmanuel 2 days. Tund 1 day. The curse worked fast, claimed its victims within hours or days of contact. His phone rang. The hospital. His hands could barely hold the device. Mr. Olanarwaju? Your daughter Zainab was brought in an hour ago. She's experiencing seizures and respiratory distress. We need you to come immediately. The drive to Lagos University Teaching Hospital blurred through tears. When he reached her room, Zainab lay in the bed, her beautiful face peaceful but her breathing labored, machines beeping urgently around her. Doctors surrounded her, their faces grave. Papa?
Her voice was weak, childlike.
I'm sorry. I didn't believe. I thought people were just superstitious. No, baby, I'm sorry. This is my fault. All my fault. He held her hand, the same small hand that had gripped his finger when she was born, the hand that had waved goodbye on her first day of school, the hand that represented everything good he'd ever done in his selfish life. We're doing everything we can, the head doctor said quietly. But her organs are shutting down. We can't find a medical cause. It's like her body is just giving up. Chief Adebayo knew what the doctor wouldn't say. Medicine couldn't fight curse work. Science had no answer for sins come home to roost. He stayed by her bedside, watching the sun rise fully over Lagos. The city woke up around them, merchants opening shops, traffic building on the roads, millions of people starting another day in this impossible, beautiful, brutal city. And in this hospital room, his daughter fought for breath, paying the price for his pride. By noon, her breathing had weakened further. The doctors looked at him with pity and resignation. Papa, Zainab whispered, don't be angry at the car. Be angry at pride. Your pride. Fix yourself, not just the curse. Those were her last words. At 1:47 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon, 19-year-old Zainab Olanarwaju stopped breathing. The machines screamed their alarms, but Chief Adebayo barely heard them. He held his daughter's still warm hand and felt his entire world collapse into ash. The curse had taken everything. But Zainab was right. The curse was just a symptom. The real disease had been inside him all along. That night, Chief Adebayo had the Mercedes towed to a remote beach outside Lagos. He doused it in petrol himself, his movements mechanical, tears streaming down his face. As the flames consumed the car, metal melting, leather burning, the beautiful midnight blue paint blistering and peeling away, he thought about all the people he'd dismissed over the years. All the casual cruelties. All the times he'd valued money over humanity. The curse would end with the car's destruction. But Zainab would never come back. He stood on that beach until the Mercedes was nothing but twisted metal and ash, then scattered the remains in the Atlantic waves as instructed. The curse was broken. But Chief Adebayo was broken too. In the months that followed, he sold his businesses and his mansion. He used the money to establish scholarships for poor students at the University of Lagos, named after his daughter. He moved to a modest apartment in Surulere, living simply, speaking kindly to everyone he met, from beggars to bankers. People said Chief Adebayo Olanrewaju had gone mad after his daughter's death. Perhaps they were right. Or perhaps he'd finally gone sane, understanding too late that the real curse had never been on the car. It had been in his heart all along. And by the time he'd learned that lesson, it had cost him everything that mattered.